Hello, everyone. It's Glennda Baker. This Women's History Month, we're celebrating incredible women in real estate that have shattered ceilings, led with impact, and paved the way for future generations. Their stories inspire, empower, and remind us that there's no limit to what we can achieve. Let's dive in. $1 million listing. I remember the first time that I ever really was exposed to you, I was so excited to see that female, that strong woman, that strong female real estate agent, because for so long, I felt like it had just been so bro culture. And I love seeing you come in and really bring the reality of the female perspective to real estate. And to me, I think the majority of amazing real estate agents are women. And it's always so crazy to me that the majority of these shows are filled up with men. So just how did it feel to walk into an established show and be, the minority or the odd person out kind of?
It was an honor. The show had obviously been on for 9 seasons. I joined in the 10th, and, there were multiple franchises at that point. They had done the New York franchise. There was a short Florida franchise, and then also in San Francisco. So to be the first female on a show and then not get kicked off after the first year, was a feat in and of itself, right? I mean, I definitely have a perspective. I have a really strong perspective as a female in the industry. And I'd been in real estate, for 17-ish years when I started the show. So I didn't come without experience or a track record. I think being welcomed into sort of that universe on that show as a female was a little bit of a tough transition for the audience. But I think ultimately, staying grounded, staying on the show, despite what I had been through personally in my first season, going through a divorce, limited, access in terms of, what I was allowed to do on the show as far as having my children involved. It was difficult, but I stayed in it and I fought through it. And ultimately, I think the women who are the audience of that show, good, bad, or ugly, have now sort of accepted me as a fixture there. And that's been wonderful because I think initially, I'm not for everyone. I'm hardly what you would say vanilla. I am so many different shades and so many different colors. And that means I'm not going to be for everybody. But I think having a point of view as a strong female, particularly on a show like this, that, when we're selling high-end real estate in Los Angeles, there needed to be a woman with as much dedication, commitment, and attitude, shall I say, to stand next to the 2 other guys on the show.
I love it. And so, I always say I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but hopefully I'm somebody's shot of tequila.
I've never related to anything more. That is so true.
So tell me, now I know there's something very exciting on the horizon for you.
There is.
And I asked you before we started recording if it was okay to talk about it, and you told me it was. So tell everybody, all of the Glennda gurus, tell everybody here first.
So we are in the final stages of a show that it's actually taken way longer than everyone expected because we filmed it this time last year, but things were happening with the network. So now it's finally its final stage, and it's about real estate in Vegas. Well, mostly about my real estate in Vegas and, me building a team of women that I empower and probably tell off a couple times on how to do things my way and make money and do it right.
And is your entire team women?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, mine too. All women, all female.
Yeah,
I had a guy that worked for me once before, but I love empowering women.
Same. Women in real estate, it's just goes together so well.
What is it that gets you all excited about real estate today?
So I have a team of women. I think you do as well.
I do. I
Women.
love it.
Yeah, I know. It's like, hey, okay, here we go. We have something in common. So I train younger agents, women, and I mold them into amazing agents like myself. I give them discipline, structured, right? It's very important, especially for the young generation that wants a career and wants to better themselves in their future, right? I give them structure and disciplines, and like accountability. A lot of people need accountability. And once they start getting these major escrows and I see them, thriving, I feel like I've done my job. So it's rewarding. I'm excited about that.
I've been doing real estate for 10 years. I moved from Israel 20 years ago to Los Angeles. I follow love, and that's the reason I actually moved. When we broke up, I decided to do something for myself, and that was taking my real estate license. It was 2012, and I got my license, and then, you know, it took a while, but we watched the show, and we think it's so easy. You've been doing real estate. It's hard, and it's a constant hustle. And even now with my show, and excuse me, because my baby is like a little bit losing her patience. Even now, having Selling Sunset, I'm not like sitting and relaxing. Like I'm generating leads constantly. I do cold call. I mean, heck, I might go back to door knocking if I need to get more business and listings. So, but I love what I do, and I'm very thankful. And thank you for having me as your guest.
So, what are three things that you would say have really contributed to your success?
Okay, one thing I would say, time. It takes time. You got to be patient. So I guess that's goes with time. Consistency. You got to be consistent. It's not easy. Look, I think some of the real estate agents in the industry in between LA and Miami that I know of, they either have great connection from their parents, and that's how they kind of like start their business, or their family member is a developer, so that's an easy way to get into. For me, I knew nobody coming from a different country. I'm like, I don't have that network. I didn't grow up in Beverly Hills, so different areas. So consistency, and I think the passion. So I would say time, consistency, and you gotta have the passion for real estate. If I drive around and I see construction site, I'm always like, wow, like it's a dirt now. What's going to be developed, whether if it's commercial or residential. I love that. I love reading real estate news. So you have to have the real estate bag. And I think if you just okay, great, like we make good money with selling and commission. But sometimes we go through dry periods that we not potentially will close something in maybe 2 months, maybe. So you have to like be patient, consistent, and passionate about what you do. Those three.
I love that. And I think that you are 1000% right. That really is the key to success in real estate. At the level that we are performing at professionally, it's like we're a professional athlete, and you really have to take care of yourself. And it's so critical. And I think it's even more critical for women, because as women, I remember when I was married, I said to my husband, he was like, oh, he had all this work and he had to do all this stuff. And I'm like, it must be nice to just have one job that you can focus on. Because as a woman, even if you're the CEO of your real estate group, you're also the CEO at home, and of the kitchen, and of the sports, and all the extracurricular activities, and making sure everybody gets where they're supposed to get. And for us, you're eating on the go. You're running like a maniac, trying to keep everybody, give everybody the best of you. And as a woman, I think that for us, the demands are definitely much more than people realize.
I agree. And I think we innately as women make it harder than it really is to take care of ourselves, right? Yeah. Because we constantly put ourselves last. It's just our nurture nature, right? But it's really not that hard. Just like you said, it can be a hashtag. It can be letting go of processed food, taking white stuff out, taking sugar out. It can be taking alcohol out. It could be small little changes, drinking more water. We are chronically dehydrated. And it's a lot easier to just do a little bit for ourselves than we make it out to be. And so I would encourage every woman who's feeling like they have been beat up and they are, struggling with their energy levels, to just find one thing that they think could make a dent and be consistent with it for a couple of weeks. And then it's easier to find the next thing, right? And it's how you do anything is how you do everything, right?
You are very well known for women's leadership in our industry. Tell me a little bit about that and how that kind of plays into not only your business but your team and just kind of the dynamic
Sure.
of what your real estate career looks like.
Well, just like you, I love being around women. I do have 2 boys and 1 girl, so I got to stay with the guys a little bit too, because I got to show them all the love. But I think women are really incredible, and Women of Compass really struck a chord in me because it pulls together this holistic approach to women, and we talk about all kinds of things. We bring in all kinds of speakers. And we really try to engage women where they are, whether it's financial literacy, whether it's running a team, whether it's managing their household, going through menopause, trying to get pregnant, all of those things from a health, spirituality, like every single aspect. And we bring them to the forefront because what I find is that women don't talk as much as we should, right? We don't communicate with each other about the things that are going on that we're struggling with because we're so focused on just keeping moving. And, you can compartmentalize that. So for me, Women of Compass has given a platform for a lot of us agents who are really strong-minded and we feel like we're invincible to be a little bit vulnerable and to say, okay, I'm not in this alone. There are other people who have taken this journey before me. And as far as really growing women, like I am in the real estate industry because I love building things. I love seeing houses being built. I love neighborhoods being built. I love building community. I love building people. And so my team started as an all-female team, and I know yours still is, and congratulations on that. We definitely have brought some guys in because we needed to balance things out a little bit. And I think there's something for everyone, right? But the women are so special to me because I truly believe that we have been taught through society that when we choose to become a mother or we choose to become a wife, that we have to let go of a little bit of ourselves. And so when I started with this, with women's leadership, it was really because I wanted to teach my daughter that you don't have to give up your dreams for the dreams and desires of anybody else or for your family. You do not have to trade a career for family or a passion for a family. You can have it all, but you have to have the right support.
You are a master at really identifying and targeting an issue and unpacking it for people in terms that they probably understand much better than a vague and ambiguous news article or a soundbite. You really take these headlines and the issues that we see in the real estate market and dissect them for the everyday person, not just the everyday real estate agent, but the everyday buyer, seller, investor. How did you kind of start that kind of forum or platform to put out information, and why do you do it?
Wow. So that's such a compliment coming from you because I watch your videos and they're so great. They're amazing. They're entertaining. And I always think, wow, if I could just be a little bit more like that. I feel like my content skews a little dry. And how we started is, I was making content just like you've been making content for years. In fact, went through this phase where we had a daily vlog and vlogged every day and did that for about 2 years. So having the camera on me was something that was just easy. I was used to it. And what I really wanted to do is show the side of me that is the biggest real estate nerd ever, because this is my life, right? And so I have just a passion for real estate. I say I bleed little houses. And so I really wanted to bring that out and share that side of me that I think that anyone who's worked with me knows and loves about me. And so what we did is we just started a podcast where we would just talk, and we would talk about the things going on. And so I get a lot of content from my podcast just by clipping up those moments where maybe I'm digesting something or unpacking something. And then I also, I do the headlines, so I'll do the green screen with the article behind me. Those perform really well on social. Maybe the performance is waning a little, but if you have a good article and you can really digest it in an easy to understand manner, it's going to perform really well. So that's kind of been my shtick lately with content creation, and allows me to get a lot of content out without having to do a lot of work for it.
Wow, I love that. So how long is each episode of your podcast?
It's anywhere from 25 to 40 minutes. We just kind of, it's pretty unstructured, really. We'll have a couple topics we're going to talk about, and then it's just me and the co-founders of Zoodealio. So there are 4 of us, and we just chop it up. So whatever's going on, we talk about. Many times we end up talking about what we love most, and that's what we're doing with Zoodealio. So we talk a lot about Zoodealio, but it's really great because it gives anyone who is considering working with us or, wants to know what we're all about, it gives them this really, I think, transparent view into like who we are, how we think, etc. And so it's been really wonderful. I would highly encourage. I know that the podcasting space is, oversaturated, but I think for a lot of realtors that are out there and they're thinking that it's oversaturated, I shouldn't do it. I think that's absolutely the wrong way to look at this. Like, you have to do it. It's the future. And now more than ever, with everything that's going on with the commission lawsuits, I think that personal branding is going to be so paramount. So I really highly encourage anyone that's out there thinking, I want to start creating content and I don't know how, maybe they don't have a lot of time to do it. The podcast is a wonderful mechanism to not only get that long form content, but you can chop it up and get that short form content too. And you don't have to put a whole lot of work into it because it's just you talking about what you already know and what you already love.
You know what? You are so right. What I love about you is you have the artist. You love beautiful things. Your brand is very beautiful. You're great at marketing, but you are an analytical through and through. I will tell you, to me, it's the best of both worlds because it's the person who has the ability to see the big picture, but has the ability to build it with small pieces. And I think that you have done that like nobody's business. So I love it. I love it. I love it.
I opened the door, and this is a trophy home. And I look down and it's 3 blocks long. I will never forget it. I was by myself. I'll never forget it as long as I lived. I called my husband. I called the neighbor. I was like, you got to come over here and just sit in every room. I don't know. And there was a walk-in, and I sold it that day, which actually really launched my career because it was a record. How about that?
I am speechless. Ladies, I want you guys to listen. What I want you to hear is all of the lessons from the first deal that Dawn had. So number 1, someone called her and she was honest. She goes, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll do everything I can to get your home sold. And the seller responds, I trust you. That tells you right there that the cornerstone of her business was built on the community trusting her. She was a mom. She was a team mom. She was the room mom. She was at the church. She was at the school. She was in the community, and they knew her in the community. She wasn't a secret agent. Everybody knew her. She was out and about, and she didn't get discouraged when somebody slammed the door in her face. And then on top of that, she did something different than everybody else was doing. Rather than flaunting this listing all over the place, she kept it secret. She only showed the inside of it. She was very discreet. She took that client's privacy and her trust so seriously, and she double-sided the deal. And now think about that. So this is long before we're having all of these commission conversations, but the person who walked in, again, valued her opinion, valued her trust, and did the deal on both sides. And she did a sip and see, and she wasn't afraid to ask for help. So for all of those of you that are brand new, that don't think you can break into the luxury market, that don't know where to start, she started where everybody, I feel, should start. And that is in your own backyard. Dawn, I think, I don't know what made me more speechless. The fact that you weren't afraid ever in any point in that transaction. And when you didn't know what you were supposed to do, and you weren't afraid to ask somebody, even your husband, for help. And you were so far ahead of the whole video thing.
It's crazy.
What I am so attracted to is just the aura that comes in the room with you. It is this amazing, graceful, loving, excited to be alive personality, and it's larger than life. And I don't think I can't articulate it well enough on camera. But I wish that it's like one of those things. Like, I wish there was like smell television. I wish that people could be in the room with you, because as magical as you are on video, you are 1,000 times more captivating in person.
You're so sweet.
Don't tell anybody, I don't want to ruin my image.
But you know what? I do think we have a very mutual admiration for each other. And I do really feel we've been through it a little bit. And we appreciate our lives very much where we are now. And as we said yesterday, if this would be over tomorrow, I would be very unhappy because I love what I do. But life goes on and we go on. I remember when my second husband died, people would say to me, "Oh, I feel so bad for you. I feel so sorry for you. Your first husband left you and your second husband left you. He died." And I was like, I don't feel bad. I mean, I feel like I was so sad, but I felt like my life is going to go on.
Right.
And we're going to make it work. We're survivors.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And you are much more beautiful in person also, because you know I've been watching you. I can't even believe what you've done and where you've come with this, doing this, and it's amazing. No, I've listened so many times. You have great tips for people, and you tell people things that nobody else even thinks to talk about. So I love it.
Thank you.
I'm going to continue watching.
Good. I hope so. I
will.
If you could go back and you could tell Jade Quitman on day one, you could tell her one thing, what would that be?
It's a lot of work. Put the work in. It's worth it. If you love it. I tell agents many times, if you don't love the business, get out. But I always loved the business. It's not like people come to me and I'll say, "Why do you want to sell real estate?" Because I like pretty homes. Because I like architecture. Because I love going on caravan. Those are all part of what we do. But if that's the only reason that you want to sell real estate, find something else to do. But I think I didn't know how much work this was when I started, but I learned to love it, or I just sort of transformed into loving it. But I love what I do, and I think be ethical. Always do the right thing,
Right.
because that's what's going to give you all of your referrals. Don't sell something that you wouldn't buy. Don't sell something where you know the floor is sloping or it's next to the freeway, whatever the downside. Or if someone insists on that, tell them, I wouldn't buy this.
Right.
I wouldn't live there.
Yeah.
But if this is what you're choosing, but be honest.
100%. Because the worst thing is that somebody picks up the phone and calls you 5 years later and says, "Hey, I want to sell that great house you sold me." And you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, you mean that shit that sits on the freeway and my hair blew when I showed it? Yeah, I definitely don't want to sell that thing again."
And your lungs have been inhaling all those fumes for all those years. Oh my God. Yes, I agree. Don't do it.
I love it. I love it. Somebody said to me one time, anybody can sell to people that they know. but the measure of your skill set is measured by someone that you don't know that puts all their trust in you. And I think that you have that in spades. Not only do you have this power of persuasion, but you really have this ability to convey to people that you can get the job done. And just watching you, seeing you, meeting you yesterday and hearing the conviction in which you speak about your passion for real estate, your passion for your company and your agents. That was what moved me so much yesterday when you said, I have 100 agents, I have my own brokerage. And I'm thinking to myself, these are like all of her own children.
They're like my babies.
Yeah, like she knows every single one of these. She knows these deals. And I was so moved by your conviction and your passion
Yeah.
and your love for the power that you have. And I think that there's such a fine line between wielding power and using power to help people. And I feel like that you really have that art of using the power that you have to help the people around you.
I thank you for that. I that's one thing that from the very early on, before I even had an assistant, my ethos was always, if you do the right thing will follow. And I was always superstitious. I never calculated the commission. Of course, you could do it in your head if you're good with numbers, so it will pop up in your head. But I never look at that because I think it's so important to do the right thing, whether it's a condo, a land deal, $100 million home. Like, I treat everyone the same. I treat it as if it's my own. And it's the same thing with my agents. My agents, I've handpicked all of them. I have a relationship with all of them. I never recruited. I just sort of was like, if I did a deal with you and it was organic and we spoke and, I said, come see what I'm doing, because I want it to be very personal that way. We all spend a lot of time in our workplace.
Yeah.
And I also want to feel good in my community, and I want to cross the street in Beverly Hills when I go to my coffee shop and see people and say hi. And I want people to say, Rainey really cared about me. She did right by me. I would never want someone to feel that I misguided them.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I always say, my name is Glennda Baker. I am a real estate agent in Atlanta, Georgia. Send me a text, tag me in a post, give me a call. That's what I love the most, because I'd love the opportunity to talk real estate with you today. See ya.